Right.
Yeah.
No, hold on. I'm so full of sandwich right now. It's unbelievable.
Full of chicken?
Oh, I should have not gotten the double. That was a mistake.
That sounds like quitter talk.
I mean, I ate the whole thing. I'm not a quitter.
You better not barf it out. That's quitting. Look, just don't think about old cabbage.
Oh, shut up. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, you don't sound good.
Oof. Man.
Maybe you should barf it out. Have you ever done that? Have you ever eaten too much and then you go into the bathroom and stick your finger down your throat and barf it all up?
No,
that's a disease.
I have eaten too much and then gone to the bathroom and stuck my thumb up my ass. It doesn't really do anything to relieve the...
I was going to ask, to what end? What is the...
I mean, just to pass the time, I guess. Welcome to the Media Lunch Break, everybody. Bringing you comic, geek, and movie news all the time it takes to eat a good sandwich and then barf it back up again. My name is Chris Treble. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Andrew Dunn. Say hello, Andrew.
You didn't ask me to do that last time, did you?
Didn't I do that?
I don't think so. I have to edit it in.
We'll put it in post. I'm not recording another one. Use one of the old episodes.
Okay.
Just cut it from there. Listen to all the intros to all the episodes. Find the best one.
Okay.
And then edit that in.
Okay. I can do that. I can't do that.
You're going to edit in something else.
Probably fart sounds.
Yeah, probably. A movie came out. Listen, a lot of things have been happening. We talked about it last time on the podcast. I'm not going to talk about it again. This is a nerd podcast. This is a place you could go to not have to deal with the bullshit that's going on in the real world. A movie came out.
It's burning down.
Shut up! It's fine. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
We forgot to say all hail Supreme Ruler Trump.
Shut up. Because here's the reason why. A movie came out, and it was... It happened. That wasn't my review of the movie, by the way. But
critics agree it's a movie.
But it was. Well, we're actually going to talk about what it was. Doctor Strange finally happened.
Or how I learned to give up magic and love myself.
I mean, that sounds like a totally different movie.
That's the X-rated parody.
Yeah, that's going to be the X-rated parody. Oh, this is going to make for a very interesting X-rated parody.
Ugh.
Wait.
Do you think...
there's only one chick in it. No, there's two chicks in it.
Astral plane?
That'd actually be amazing. Come on. You think about it. Astral plane sex is probably phenomenal.
Probably, yeah.
So Doctor Strange came out. You had already seen this before, as we discussed last episode.
Yep.
I had not seen it because I'm a mere mortal and had to see it with the rest of the peons.
Yep. I actually have seen it again since then.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Now, the first time you saw it in IMAX?
Nope, 2D.
Did you see it in 3D the second time?
No, because the IMAX theater here is not showing it yet. I've been meaning to call them and ask if they will, but they don't have it yet. You can find it in 3D theaters, but it's not the same to me. I want that big IMAX screen where they sit you in with like 2,000 other people. And...
Yeah. Okay. So, upon revisiting it, anything changed from your initial thoughts?
No.
Remind me again of your initial thoughts.
Without the CGI, it would be the worst good Marvel movie.
Okay.
With the CGI, it's pretty good.
Yes. Okay. Now that we're talking about it, we can both talk about it. By the way, you got the non-spoiler one the last episode. This is spoilers throughout.
Yay!
We're not gonna parse it. Yeah, we're just gonna spoil the shit out of this. I really like this movie.
Okay.
I was talking to a friend of mine. I was talking to Eric Scarlatti on the Not Movies podcast, and what I said to him, it was really good. It's the best. No, I'm sorry. It's a really good movie for it being Marvel's last origin movie.
I don't think it's gonna be.
I don't think it's gonna be either. I'm saying I want it to be. I want it to be the last origin movie.
Yeah.
Because this is the same thing that happened with me and Ant-Man. Now, I love Ant-Man. I know everyone is just head over heels for Ant-Man. I think it's great. I don't think it's phenomenal.
I think it's the worst good one.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying by that. I like and rewatching it, it's grown on me more.
Oh yeah, I've only seen it, I think, once.
I've watched it a couple of times. It grows on me kind of each time because I appreciate the humor in it and everything like that.
Paul Rudd is great.
And Paul Rudd is great. Michael Douglas is great. Michael
Sarah.
Pena?
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah, he's fantastic.
He's so good in this movie. It's not an Ant-Man review. I'll get back to Doctor Strange. Sure. But I remember going into the theater and sitting down and the movie started. I was really excited for it, and it started, and I went, oh yeah, I know exactly what's going to happen in this movie. And then it all happened that way.
Right.
And it was a fun ride, and I enjoyed it, and that was great.
Yep. Did you suspect that he would be working in Baskin-Robbins?
No, but that's what I mean. Like the ride to get from point A to point B.
You know the arc. You know the main arc.
Yeah,
you don't
I knew the main arc.
arcs.
I didn't know all the beats. I didn't know all the details. I didn't know the bits.
Yeah.
I knew I knew we were gonna get from point A to point B.
Yes.
And that being said, I enjoyed the ride.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with this movie. I loved the ride.
Yep. Yeah, one of the things you asked me last week is, are there any surprises? And I said, absolutely not. It's its biggest flaw.
Yes. I would agree with that. I think that... how do I put this? The reason I want it to be the last origin movie is because I get it. Every origin movie, I know how it ends.
Well, they're all the same.
Not even just end, but I know how it builds and then it...
They're all the same.
Yeah. 2, this one I will grant kind of needs an origin movie because this character is probably one of the more obscure characters they're going to do.
I actually disagree. I think he would have made more sense just starting off. They sort of tried to do this. Like there's a reference to him in The Winter Soldier.
There is,
reference to Stephen Strange.
I want to talk about that. I want to put a pin in that. There's a reference to him in that. There's been a debate about this online. I want to talk about it, but I want to put a pin in that. We'll come back in a little bit.
But I was just going to say, I think the smarter thing to do would be to give him his own solo movie maybe 2 years from now.
Right.
And just have him show up in Thor. Have him be like, look, I've been watching you guys. I've been hanging back.
Right.
My name's Doctor Strange. I'm Sorcerer Supreme. Don't worry about it. I'm here to help.
Right.
Because now it's time for me to step in.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. You can... The only reason I think it's warranted to give him... And I'm not saying they should or should not have. But if you're going to give any character that you're going to do in a Marvel movie an origin story, I think this one is befitting because A, the character is slightly obscure, and B, we're delving into another aspect of this universe, which is magic.
Yeah. We've seen a bunch of different types of science with gamma radiation and technology.
Exactly. We've seen technology. We've seen space travel.
We've seen godliness.
We've seen godliness, which is also technically space
travel. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, we've seen that. We're now introducing a new aspect into this universe.
Well, which is interesting, too, because this magic is also sort of depicted as a science.
Right.
Because you're just pulling from other dimensions.
Yes. But that's what I mean. We need that origin. We need that a little bit. So part of the origin story wasn't just for the character, but for the world itself.
I could be convinced I'll go with that. Sure.
Yeah. That being said, great movie. I want it to be the last origin story we have. I really do. It won't be.
We're certainly going to get a Carol Danvers.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that being, like I said, I did really like this movie. The CGI, everyone's been talking about it.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's really great. I will say this. I wanted to see... when he's doing the whole crazy trip, he first gets into the thing, and the Ancient One does that, she flicks him on the forehead or whatever, and sends him into the astral plane.
Different dimensions.
It was really cool looking.
Yeah.
It was really awesome to see. I loved that he went into his own eye or something. That was really cool. And I get that. There's a portion where and this is kind of a big thing. Again, this is kind of a big thing for this universe. She talks about the multiverse.
Yeah.
So now we've established there's a multiverse for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
You know what I really would have loved? I would have loved, when she's demonstrating that there's a multiverse, to fucking see the multiverse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she was like, there's 1,000 different dimensions.
It just looked like he went to a bunch of different planets.
It went to, well, not only that, it was like, I get some of the dimensions are going to look like kaleidoscopy or something, because they're the 8,000, whatever.
Yeah.
But if she's talking about there's parallel Earths.
Right, that's what I mean.
Like that.
It just looked like he went to, like, another galaxy.
Right.
When in reality, he probably was still on Earth, but in another dimension. We should have seen parallel
So let's
Earths.
see, so let's like really tantalize myself.
You know what would have been
my
great?
senses.
That's a great opportunity, and that alone is like a wonderful moment where you can put in something that makes people go, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just bring in Tobey Maguire again. Have him be Spider-Man.
For a second, yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
just recast the Avengers for one scene.
Yeah.
Get like Paul Rudd as Iron Man.
Let me see Falcon as Spider-Man. Or Falcon as Spider. Falcon as Captain America.
Sure, yeah.
Let me see.
Let's get Natalie Portman as Thor. Bring in the new run of Marvel.
Absolutely,
you know?
absolutely.
It's a great opportunity.
Let me see Miles Morales for
and
a
you can
hot
get
second.
you can get sure, but you could even get the same actors we've already established,
right? And
switch their super. You can do whatever you want, so you don't have to, sign a new contract with a bunch of new people.
Yeah,
you can just.
I don't even care if it's the old trope of like, this is what happens if the Red Skull had won World War II. You know what I mean? Like, just give me anything.
Well, I was gonna say too. How about we see the end of Civil War, but Tony Stark has killed Captain America and is walking away.
Love it.
Stuff like that. Anything. There's great opportunity for fans to just freak out.
Well, the other thing is, because you're getting movies from a comic book, which is a visual medium, there's 1,000 iconic panels that you can draw from.
Yeah.
So just give me those panels.
Which is something we've seen in Flash, actually, the TV show.
Well, that's the thing. And once again, where the DC cinematic universe fails completely, and the DC television universe thrives unbelievably. The moments in Flash when he's traveling back in time or between dimensions or whatever, they have those things. I will watch those episodes, and I will watch that portion of the episode 4 times.
Yeah,
because I love picking.
By the way, for
out.
anyone who hasn't watched The Flash yet, when he goes, I don't think it's when he time travels. I think it's when he goes to another Earth. Right?
Yes.
Or if it may only be the first time he time travels or something like that.
Yeah,
but
because at the end of
season
1, he does it for the first time.
Well, not for the first time. In the middle of season 1, he does it for the first time, where he just sort of goes back in time.
No, sorry, I meant the first time we see that tunnel thing. It's the end of season 1.
In the Hadron Collider.
Yeah.
But for anyone who doesn't know, when he does that, the further back he goes, the longer he spends in what appears to be like a hyperspace gateway.
Almost looks like a wormhole.
Yeah, like a long blue hallway, and
right.
he's running really fast through it. And as he's running, he passes by a bunch of other Flash moments.
He passes by different images.
And it's not always Grant Gustin, is that his name?
Yeah, the one image that always sticks out to me is they actually show John Wesley Shipp from the 90s Flash. They showed to tease an upcoming team up with Supergirl. They showed Supergirl. They also showed a Legion ring, which is a clip from Supergirl.
So he's seeing stuff from a bunch of different timelines.
There's a couple of scenes that they still have yet to show.
Right.
I think in some of the tunnels.
Sure.
That they're just
be surprised.
I think they were just made up, or they're going to use them some other time.
Yeah.
Because one was like him in jail and his father on the outside, and that never has happened.
Yeah. Well, it could also be stuff that was going to happen that is now changed because he went back in time.
Right.
There's any number of
right.
hypotheses you can put into this.
But that's what I mean. I would have loved to have seen something like that.
Yeah.
Because the multiverse is a big thing, and it's a big thing for not just story-wise, but also, as some people pointed out online, after the deal with Sony and Spider-Man and borrowing it, having the multiverse opens it up to the possibility
for Spider-Verse.
For the Spider-Verse. Well, no, not just that, but they were saying, if Fox ever does want to team up with Marvel and bring any of their characters in,
Oh.
we have a multiverse.
Yeah.
So if they don't want to reboot the X-Men, and they want to just make $1 bazillion and have an X-Men movie...
Well, I hate to tell you, but they're actually going to reboot.
I know they are going to actually reboot the X-Men. But you know what I mean? Like, or if they want to reboot the X-Men and say, hey, we've rebooted that. If you want to use these these actors for these characters... and we can strike a deal, they can use that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it opens up a whole thing.
And it explains why we've never heard of the X-Men, because it's been in another dimension.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. And so, I think for any really geeky people, they hear the multiverse and they know what's implied with that. But if you're dealing with a larger audience are the only way they're exposed to these characters and this type of genre is through these movies, you have to explain exactly what a multiverse is. And doing that visually, I think, was a way to do that they really kind of missed.
They may be saving it for either Doctor Strange 2 or perhaps even Infinity Wars.
Right, they could.
Or maybe Spider-Man. I really want the Spider-Verse to be a thing.
Oh, yeah.
I would... Look, I throw around a lot of hyperbole. I would literally sell one of my testicles to get a Spider-Man movie that had a Spider-Verse with Emma Stone as Spider-Gwen, Andrew Garfield as a Spider-Man,
right.
Tobey Maguire as a Spider-Man, and Donald Glover as a Spider-Man.
That
Even as,
amazing.
like, he's been doing it for 20 years and he's getting too old for it or whatever.
Would you sell the left or the right one?
They could take their pick. I would, if I had a preference, I would sell the left one. Listen.
Is that's the one with the thing on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
okay.
say that they love all their kids equally. That's bullshit. You have a preference, as I do.
Yes. Andrew also has a preference for one or the other of your children.
Oh, I meant there's like 10,000 in each one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 10,000 of my children I don't like.
Yeah, and there's one, Jerry.
Yeah, he's
who
great.
is totally awesome.
Yeah, he's gonna be cool.
Yeah, he's gonna be awesome. Yeah, so that was, I think that, like I said, the special effects in this were amazing. It was a cool sequence to watch. For near the end, I started being like, all right, enough of this.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
This is so holy shit. Like, knock it off. Like, let's get on with the... Because there was also a lot of, like, it's a lot of Benedict Cumberbatch clearly...
Just freaking out.
Mugging for the camera, and they just move it so fast
like,
you can't tell he's bad acting.
They're, like, hanging him from a ceiling or something.
At one point, he
like,
literally just went... And I was like, what are we, in a Looney Tunes cartoon?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. His hair's all crazy.
Yeah, but the special effects were so good.
Well, I see, what they should have done is incorporated more of that stuff in the storyline.
Right.
Because that first 20 minutes is cool, but I would have much rather had like a 10-minute version of that, or a 5-minute version of that, and then add a 20-minute scene, another scene, because the scene where he is in the mirror-verse, or whatever, and the buildings are folding over, that's the scene that I literally don't know how they filmed, because he's just running on... like fire escapes that are breaking in half.
And he's and it's spinning in three. Like he jumps from the what is essentially our floor to the wall to the ceiling. Like
and I'm not sure. Like there's got to just be.
Is that where he keeps conjuring up the portal and they keep doing something to make the portal on the wrong side?
The part that confuses
which I thought was
me,
brilliant.
It was really good.
Yeah.
The part that was the part that confuses me is shortly thereafter in the same scene near the end, right before the Ancient One shows up. They are running on like just fire escapes that are being ripped down off of buildings and they're everywhere, and there's got to be just 60 crew members wearing green jumpsuits, holding green platforms, and they're just spinning.
And they're just spinning around. Yeah. That, I mean, this is definitely one that I want the Blu-ray for, just to watch the extras on it and just see how they did it, because it is brilliant. It is kind of amazing.
And the high-speed camera at the end is outrageously cool. The slow motion stuff where everything's that. Okay, so that's something that there's a lot of really, going back to the Flash. There's a lot of really bad fast-moving scenes in that show. We actually just watched one a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, actually, that when it was over, I was like, I don't know if I can watch this anymore. And it's the one where he saves... I can't remember her name, but the older English woman who was in the original show.
Oh, yeah. The doctor.
Yeah, and he saves her from some building. It was either right at the end of season 2 or near the beginning of season 3.
Yeah.
And it's completely CGI. everything about it. The building, him, her, and he like flips her over his shoulder and does all sorts of crazy slow-mo stuff, and it looks horrendous.
Yeah.
And I've been saying so in the first episode of the first season, they do a bit that has a high-speed camera.
Right.
A waitress drops a bunch of stuff, and they freeze that camera, and he just sort of casually walks over and picks everything up. That's what they need to do. If you want to do high-speed stuff with the Flash, get a high-speed camera and just slow everything down and put him in the middle of it, moving at a regular speed.
Right, I get what you're saying. What did that have to do with Doctor Strange?
I don't know, I went on a rant.
Yeah,
they use the high-speed camera stuff at the very end is fantastic.
Okay, yeah.
Like, when the dude who's, like, using the walk.
Oh, I actually love that entire fight sequence because there's a lot of detail in it that is really good.
Yeah.
The fact that they're fighting forward and everything is moving backwards.
Amazing.
And what I loved about that is, like, it's not just a cool effect, like, there are consequences to it. I love the part where there's the broken fish tank.
Yep.
And he kicks her into the fish tank, and then it seals it in her.
And also, Mads Mikkelsen gets sent into a building while it's being put back together.
Right. All of that stuff. I was like, that is fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Using it tactically to your advantage.
Yeah. Speaking, since we're talking about that portion of the movie, what'd you think of? I'm gonna say Dormammu. I think they say Dormammu.
Dormammu.
Did
you always pronounce it Dormammu?
I've heard it pronounced Dormammu.
I've always called it Dormammu.
Okay, sure. Whichever one you want to go with.
I'll call it Dormammu.
Yeah.
That's how they call it, because that's the movie.
That's how they say it.
Did you know that that's Benedict Cumberbatch?
I didn't until I heard somebody else say
either,
that. Yeah, but I think that's brilliant.
That's a great choice, especially since he's such a good mocap actor.
Yeah.
And you have no idea that it's him.
Yeah.
I liked that scene. They evidently deleted, and I don't know why they did this. The movie is not that long, right?
No,
it's pretty long.
It's almost exactly 2 hours.
Right. So it's long.
Right.
But Civil War was like 240 or something.
Yeah, but right? I would live in Civil War for
That's what I mean,
8 hours.
So I feel like the exposition is too short in Doctor Strange. If the movie is good and it has necessary components, you can make it as long as you want.
Yeah.
So if they had more exposition in Doctor Strange, and I think if I want 10 more minutes of I've come to bargain. I want us to get sick of it.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
I want
us to feel what Dormammu's feeling.
And eventually Dormammu's like, I can't. Like, as soon as we say, I can't handle this anymore, he says, I can't handle this anymore.
I would have liked to have seen, maybe not 10 more minutes. I get what you're saying with the 10 more minutes, and so I totally echo that. Just something... and I will grant it's a tricky thing to do because this is a place that has no time, but some sense of passage of time.
Yeah, well, Dormammu exceeds time, or transcends time,
right? But like that's of just because it was a lot of really cool cuts of like killing Doctor Strange, which was great.
Yeah.
The only thing that I was missing, I was like, has he been doing this for 20 minutes?
Okay, that's what I was going to say. There's a deleted scene.
Years?
I started saying this and I went off on a tangent. There's a deleted scene and I have no idea why they deleted this. It's not even a scene. It's a line where he indicates that they've done this 10,000 times.
Oh, okay.
And they just cut it.
Yeah, that's the only thing that...
Yeah, that needed to be left.
That being said, I loved it, and I loved it for many reasons. One, I like the idea that you see the hero die.
Yeah.
Even though it's not actually him dying, but he is dying, but it's not, you know,
over and over and over.
It's just some sort of satisfaction because you always enter these hero movies going like it always looks like they're gonna die, but in the back of your head you're like, well, they can't obviously kill him.
Yeah.
So just being able to see it actually happen is great.
Yeah.
The other thing that I love, and this speaks to a larger theme that I really enjoyed about this movie, is that I love that this battle came down to a battle of the mind.
Yes.
I love that this movie, in a genre that is built on muscle, comes down to...
And this is the guy to do it with.
It comes down to thinking.
Yeah.
It comes down to bargaining. It comes down to going, listen, we can punch each other till we're blue in the face. You and I, we are going to do this forever if we go this way. But if we use our heads... We'll find a compromise.
We can come to an agreement.
We can come to an agreement. Which speaks to a larger theme that I actually do really like in this movie, and that is the idea of being something better than what you think. Coming to the realization that you can be greater than you think you can.
Sure.
And that failure is not only an option, but it's encouraged in some ways.
Good.
You know what I mean? Because the thing, and they don't harp on it too much, and they could have even gone slightly farther with it, but not too much more, is that Doctor Strange, at his core in this movie, is someone who's afraid of not being perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
that's his,
That's his MO.
I would say that should be the reason that he crashes his car.
Right.
There should be, because what crashes his car is his hubris, or maybe his love of
fast cars.
Well, yeah, that is part of it, but also his desire to be, his curiosity,
right?
Because he's like, oh no, I need to know what this is.
Right.
And he's like looking at a thing, trying to figure it out.
Well, but if you notice in that conversation when he's driving the car, he doesn't they give him the list of possible surgeries. The first one he says no to because it's too easy.
Yeah.
But the second one, and this is a scene after he does something miraculous in the operating room, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, Doctor Strange, you're so amazing."
Right.
He reveals that he doesn't take the second one because it's too hard.
Yeah.
Because he says, if I took it, I'm going to fail at this, and I won't have my perfect record anymore. And that's why I'm so successful.
Yeah.
And so the whole movie is him battling the idea of, I have to be perfect, and I can't take too much of a challenge.
Sure.
Otherwise I will fail, and people will see me as not perfect. Yeah. It is the one, it's one of the, I don't want to say it's one of the few Marvel movies because that's not true, but it's definitely one of the Marvel movies that their central theme for their character plays so well into the final conflict of the movie.
Definitely. Which is interesting because I did not get any of that, but now that you're saying it, it's very obvious.
Yeah, because all the other movies, it always comes down to, even if it's Ant-Man that we were talking about earlier, the central theme is like, I want to be a good person and I want to be a good dad.
Right.
And the way that he does that is that he goes and he protects his daughter. Right. But when you boil it down, he protects his daughter and then he beats the crap out of some guy.
Exactly. Well,
you know what I mean? The final fight always, it's like, okay, now we've sealed up the emotional arc of this. Now let's have our giant fight and get out of here.
Well, I was going to say, you had said that this movie, one of the things it does very well is that it shows that you can be better than you think you are, which I would say every Marvel movie does, to the point where it's actually getting kind of boring.
Right.
What this movie does differently is, or what this movie does so well is it does that same thing, but in a different way.
Yes.
In a way that we have not seen it yet. Whereas all the other movies do it in the exact same way.
Yeah. Again, this is an industry, this is a genre, it's built on muscles.
Yes.
And this guy came in and said, oh, I don't need that.
Even Tony Stark, who should have been the first one to do that.
Right.
We've had 3 movies of just him.
Yeah.
And we still have never...
And 2 more of him with other people.
Right. Well, and even Iron Man 3, there's a whole, 30 or 40 minutes or something where he doesn't have his suit. And I remember being furious because this man's a genius.
Yeah.
And instead he just goes to Home Depot and makes a bomb. He gets a nail gun.
Yeah, he could have MacGyvered the shit out of that movie.
Right. Or not even necessarily MacGyvered.
But what I'm saying is that he could have used his mind.
Yes, I would have said he could use his charisma to because he just goes through and is killing guards or whatever, right? He should have just used his charisma to get on site and been like, no, I'm here. Are you going to tell him that I'm late because you're holding me up? Stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's really a good point. I never thought of that. Yeah. So that was a big thing that I loved about this movie, and so kind of from here on out, anything that I say is it's kind of lackluster in this movie. Just know that having that spine and kind of having the courage to have that ending to a superhero movie kind of supersedes any nitpicking that I might do from here on out.
It's very good.
Rachel McAdams, we talked about her a little bit. You said she's not in it a lot. She's not in it a lot.
Yeah, she really needs a better role.
Yeah, and that's not even a better role. Just give her part more. Because I actually, of all of the Marvel women, and when I say Marvel women, I'm not counting something like Black Widow or something. I'm counting Jane Foster and Pepper Potts,
the romantic interests,
and Liv Tyler, which I don't even remember what her name is.
Betsy
Ross.
Yep.
Booyah.
Betty Ross. Betsy Ross. Isn't that the woman who made the flag? Is it Betty Ross?
Betty Ross. Nope, don't bother. It's B. Ross.
Yep, okay? It's Smith Ross.
It's Liv Tyler Ross. Those women, the love interests.
Yeah.
Of all of them, I think I like her the best or second best.
Okay.
Pepper at least has something to... Pepper plays a good, large part in Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like, she actually takes over a whole company and runs it. So, I think she automatically has number one. I think Rachel McAdams to me is a number two.
Okay.
And here's why.
A number two in a good way or a number two in a bad way?
In a good way.
Okay.
Like she's second
not like
on
she's
my
a
list.
turd.
Like I think that first of all, Liv Tyler barely ranks because I don't remember her at all.
Man, I do. See, I would put her above.
And Jane Foster, I think it's just pointless.
Yeah, basically.
But Rachel McAdams, the thing that I...
What is her character's name?
Who?
Rachel McAdams.
It's Rachel McAdams. I don't know.
You don't know, do you?
No, but what I like about it is that she is not... She's not swooning. No, she kind of is.
Yep.
But she's not... It doesn't live and die on her love of Doctor Strange.
But none of them do. Here's the problem with whatever the hell her name is. See, this is an indicator.
That's true. I can't remember
what's
her
his
character name.
sidekick's
That's
name?
not good. His sidekick?
The Asian guy.
Wong.
What's Tilda Swinton's character's name?
The ancient one.
What is Chitwill Chickenfor's name?
Manga... No.
It's like Modor
It's
or Mordor. But you've got an idea.
Mangamoto,
Do you remember Mads Mikkelsen's character's name?
Kilimanjaro.
It is something like that, though, right?
It's a kiss something.
So, anything with Rachel McAdams?
Claire?
No,
That's
you're thinking
the
of
other
the
one.
other night nurse.
Damn it.
Nothing, right?
It's Rachel
Here's the reason.
McAdams.
O. Adams.
It's Rachel O. Adams.
Here's the reason that you can't remember her name.
Okay.
She does nothing.
She does nothing. No.
Hear me out, though.
I'm granting your
point.
point.
Hear me out, though.
Yes.
Liv Tyler does something.
It's true.
Pepper Potts does something.
Definitely.
Jane Foster does something. She houses him when he has no powers. And in the second one, she concocts this like crazy disease that gives her superpowers. She does things.
I haven't watched that second one in a while. I need to rewatch it. It is actually good. I remember liking it.
We talked about this. But she does nothing. She comes in as a deus ex machina and saves a doctor who could probably just do it himself.
Yes, but...
She does nothing.
Okay, here's what I think. I think part of the reason I like it.
You like her because she's charming as hell, and she's the perfect person to play a nothing role because she can bring something to it and make them look good. That's why you like it.
Yeah.
Look, if you read the roles of all of these characters without seeing the actors portray them, she has nothing. Like, she's literally just there to be
she doesn't.
Oh, I like you so much. Remember when we went to that thing and it was great?
But
great. And then she comes in and she's like, I'm not going to watch you destroy yourself. I hate you. And storms off. Right. And then he comes in like it's nothing and needs her to fucking fix him again. Right. And then he needs her to fix his friend.
Right.
Like, nothing. All he does is treat her like garbage, and she's just like, oh, this is who I am.
No, but that's the thing, is that she isn't... I never got the feeling that she just rolls over for it. She doesn't like that she's doing it, but she does it anyway.
But she's an archetype. That's the problem.
I think I like her because in this movie she's an archetype, but I could see her in something else being developed.
I agree that she doesn't just roll over and take whatever, but like the dude was real shitty to her.
He was real shitty to her. I get that.
I love you so much.
I like her because I'd actually like to see her. I find her more interesting. But
it's because she's a good actress.
Possibly.
That's what I'm saying, is that like that character is horribly written. I think worse than any other female role they've written so far.
See, I think it's
except maybe Ant-Man, because they fucked her up royally. Like Wasp, whatever her name is, because she really is just in it.
Holy shit! I didn't even think of her.
Yeah, she's the sexy lamp test. You know about that? That like if you can replace your female lead with a sexy lamp, you know, that's the test. But she literally is a better person for this job, right? She's stronger than Paul Rudd's character.
Right.
She trains Paul Rudd,
right,
but she doesn't get to do it,
right,
because she's a woman.
Yeah.
Which they say, like, that's part of the storyline.
I was going to say, they say that outright.
Which should make it better, maybe, but it doesn't to me.
Nah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's getting a sequel. All right, get off their ass.
Yeah, she better. But but it's going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's not going to be the Wasp.
No, but I wonder if I have a feeling at some point they're going to... Are you just watching the janitor clean the school?
Yeah.
There is a window, and Andrew lives across from the school, and we can see into the school, and we're just watching a janitor clean right now.
Okay, but it's not as creepy as it sounds. We don't just look in through the school windows.
I mean, it's as creepy as I'm making it
sound.
What the hell was I saying about Rachel McAdams?
Women in Marvel movies?
Yeah. No, I actually would like to see her in something else, whereas I would not give a hot shit if they ever show me Jane Foster again.
See, here's the thing.
I find, and you're right, maybe it is because Rachel McAdams is a good enough actress who can take a nothing part and make it so goddamn charming that I want to see it.
Listen, if they write Jane Foster well, you would change your mind, but they haven't yet. That's the problem.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is like, there was something, I'm trying to think, I'm not putting this well. There's just...
You just don't like to see women in lead roles.
Yeah,
what's the deal?
Problem with this? What's hard about this? I just want
All hail President Trump.
Ah, son of a bitch. No, there was something that about the fact that she is not
a man.
Yeah. No, that she Doctor Strange is not her end all and be all.
Yeah.
He comes in and out of her life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He comes in and out of her life.
Don't say it again.
You get the feeling that you get the sense that like she keeps going on. She's not just sitting around in the scenes that she's not in. She's not just sitting around pining for him.
Neither is Jane Foster.
There is the end of the second movie. She is literally sitting, eating cereal, pining for him.
Sure.
And then he shows up, kisses her, and that's the end of the movie.
So what you're saying is that because she... Look, all right, I won't word it that way. I'll word it this way. Then the problem is that if you gave Rachel McAdams more scenes, that scene would certainly be in Doctor Strange. Not if we were writing it.
I don't know that it would, though.
It would.
Maybe.
It certainly
would.
But
with what I've been given in this movie, that's the sense I get. And I think that's why I like her so much.
And I think that's because Rachel McAdams has taken this character in a direction that they would not have written.
It might also be because I kind of have a crush on Rachel McAdams.
Who doesn't?
What did we didn't talk about this a whole lot. The magic in it. What did you think of just like the look of?
It's good.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. Same with Benedict. Like what I said about Benedict Cumberbatch last time was he doesn't disappoint. He doesn't exceed expectations.
Benedict Cumberbatch is the shit out of it.
Yeah. And the magic I feel is the same.
This is and I'm pretty sure you've heard or read the same criticism that I have that I'm gonna jump on is that I kind of wish the magic was different. In that, like, everybody could do the same thing.
Yes.
And I was fine with that. I was totally good with it. Some people were more like, oh, in the comics he can do this and he can change this and then, and I was totally fine with everybody being able to do the same thing except for one portion, and that was where the Ancient One fought.
Okay.
And the reasoning is this: it makes total sense because they're training sorcerers, right? So it makes total sense that everyone's going to do the same thing because
you're being taught by one.
You're being taught by one. Well, that and you're all learning at the same level.
Oh, sure.
So this is the starter level magic.
Yeah, you're all going to have
making the cool sparkly shapes and everything. That's level 1.
Right.
That's fine. Even shit well used for using it, even though he's above that, makes sense because
it's a foundation.
He's training Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, sure.
So like when they're sparring, it wouldn't make sense to use higher magic because that's not fair.
Yeah.
You can't. You know what I mean? You gotta. The only scene that I wanted to see something amazing happen is where the Ancient One is fighting.
Yeah, but she basically just does the same
thing. But she does the same thing.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, well, let's see. Because the other thing is, you don't see a real difference on why the Ancient One is so completely special.
Yeah.
With the exception of she flicks his head and now he's in 28,000 different dimensions.
Yeah.
In the very beginning. Other than that, what sets her apart from not just Doctor Strange, who is at level 1, but Ejiofor, who is at level like 12.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? And if she's at level 100, let's see some crazy shit.
That's a good point. I mean, when both Doctor Strange and Modor, I'm going to call him Modor.
I think it's Modor.
When they're both fighting Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes.
Yeah, they're both just doing the same stuff they always do.
Yeah.
When it would be a good time for Modor to be like, okay, stand back a minute. You know, like Doctor Strange.
Let's see a little elevation. What's the difference in levels?
Well, I was going to say, I feel like Doctor Strange should almost feel like a prop, like a burden. Like, okay, I've got this like trainee here.
Yeah.
Just try not to die, please.
Exactly.
You know?
So let's see what happens on level 12 when those two are fighting, and then, like I said, when the Ancient One is fighting those guys,
it's got to be balls
because
to the wall.
she's not training anymore.
Yeah.
So you can be fucking. She's pulling, like opening portals and pulling out a wild animal and fucking. Who knows what? Like just
switching to another verse, another universe.
Just she's teleporting herself everywhere.
Yeah.
She's like
flicking people in the foreheads into the astral.
Flicking people in the foreheads left and right, just fled and then
drop them and into
fucking ball tap them right.
Yeah, knock them into Benedict Cumberbatch's pupils.
Whatever. Who cares? But I mean, they have that. It's weird because they have that. They have that sight gag of the Wong listening to single ladies.
Oh,
which we'll get into the humor, and that reminds me, we should talk about the humor.
Yeah. But when he's going through the portals,
and everything, and that's really cool. And it's funny, but it's interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Why does the Ancient One like literally just open a portal and punch some guy in the back of that? You know what I mean? Like literally use everything at her disposal.
That's a good idea.
Have you ever seen? This is such a random pull. Have you ever seen Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know
the
that
doors.
Yeah, that scene, and there's just that one great scene where there's the team of soldiers, and then all the doors open at once, and then just like that literally could have happened in this movie. She could have just been like boop, and like just crap, just pours out in every. Like,
and then we can see what makes Mads Mikkelsen so good of a student.
Right.
Because he was the best student. He was the most powerful.
Yes.
And then we can still see that he is more powerful than the Ancient One. And now we see that that Doctor Strange now has to become not only more powerful than the Ancient One in a very small amount of time, but more powerful than someone more powerful than her.
That. Yeah.
And then more powerful than Mads Mikkelsen, the Dormammu, and this is astounding, but instead we just saw a bunch of people.
Yeah, you only get a brief... what I wanted was if this magical realm is so powerful, give me just a brief look at how powerful it can be, just a brief one, so that I know we have a long way to go in the next in whether it's Doctor Strange 2 or Thor Ragnarok or wherever this guy shows up again. This is the growth that we can chart.
How about leaving the Eye of Agamotto just out for anyone to take if you can just wreck reality?
Yeah. I thought that was... Oh, that's another thing. First of all, the Apple thing was really cool.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool.
The time travel stuff was great because it was all on a high-speed camera.
It was really cool. It was really great. My only issue was that it felt like there was a small plot hole because if I'm Stephen Strange and my whole thing was I came to this school to learn how to fix my hands.
Yeah.
And then I found this thing that I could turn back. I can turn it out. I can literally turn a dial and make an apple go back and forth.
You might not be able to do it to yourself.
But he doesn't even try.
Yeah.
If my whole and again, some people are gonna go, well, I'm sure he was gonna. Why would you wait? Yeah. If you figured this out and you're like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
And this goes back in time. Okay, great. My whole thing was about fixing my hands. The next thing I do is I look at my hand and I spin a dial and I see if my hand goes back.
Yeah.
It's immediate.
Yeah.
And they didn't even have a moment.
He's a smart enough guy.
He's a smart enough guy to go, all right, well, I got this figured out. Let's try it on my hands now.
Yeah.
I got nothing else to lose.
Yeah.
And it bothered me that they didn't even
address it.
Like, you don't have to have him do it, but just have him hold his hand out, hold his other hand out like he's going to turn it back in time, and that's when Wong shows up.
Sure.
That's it. End of story.
Yeah.
That's it. But they don't even address it.
No, it might be in a deleted scene, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
Right. I'm trying to think. There was one other thing I was going to get. Oh, the humor.
Yeah.
You said it felt like it. Dan Harmon, it was reported, we talked about it on this podcast, that he helped with some of the humor in this.
Yeah.
I can definitely see what you were saying, that it kind of cut into some of it.
Yeah.
Some of it worked.
Yeah.
Some of it did not.
Yeah. Well, some of it, I would say all of it is passable.
Yes.
But some of it, and I think I said too that it really feels like the editing is what's off. Because some of it just misses, there's just a fraction of a second too long or too short or...
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I liked the cloak being a physical thing, like
sentient.
A sentient thing. It was a little like Aladdin's magic rug.
Yes, it got a little too, like, it almost felt like they threw that in for the kids. Yeah.
And it was really like when he's going for the one thing and the cloak is trying to pull him towards another thing. Yeah. Like that bit, that's one where it felt like it went on way too long.
Yeah, agreed.
Like that, just him running once and it tugging, I was like, oh, that's cute. And it makes sense. And then they kept going with it, and I was like, what the hell am I watching right now?
Yeah, if instead he went for something and it stopped him, and he looked at the cape...
And he tried one more time, and
I wouldn't even say that.
That's it.
See, if he goes for something and the cape stops him, he looks at the cape, and the cape just tugs twice.
Right.
And he's like, oh, this thing, okay. Because, like, he's just been introduced to this world. He doesn't know what any of this stuff does. But he knows that stuff doesn't... He picks up a vase and points it at Mads Mikkelsen, and Mads Mikkelsen looks really scared for a minute. Yeah. And then he says... You don't know how to use that, do you?
Yeah.
And, like, so clearly this is not just a vase. Like, the things in this world
there's a
are
history
different.
Behind everything that's here. Yeah.
So nothing is as it seems. In fact, he should have learned by now from Modor that he must unlearn everything he knows, or whatever that first thing he says to him.
I don't think it's Modor.
Mordor? It's Mordor.
No, but isn't Modor... Wait, isn't Modor the thing with the giant head? Am I wrong on that?
That's MODOK.
Okay, never mind. Keep going. I don't know why I'm arguing.
Machine of destruction.
Of killing.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
So nothing is as it seems. He's a very smart person.
Right.
He's also been just rocking his studies on this.
Yeah.
He knows this stuff. So, I don't think it should have taken as long. I think we would have been fine. Yeah. We would have gotten the joke. It would have been fun. And we would have been it would have been funnier if he looked at the cape, saw the thing, and was like, oh, and just like grabbed it and threw it or whatever.
I also really hated the cloak wiping his face. That it just bugged the shit out of me.
Yeah, that was like a real moment that we could have had.
Yeah, I was like, why put that in?
And that really felt like, I mean, all these bits feel like Dan Harmon moments.
Right.
And Dan Harmon is great, but it just doesn't feel
well, because it isn't. First of all, Dan Harmon is great, but he's also great when he's creating his own thing.
Yeah,
like he's a very unique voice, and so he has to structure it kind of from top to bottom.
That makes sense. When it comes organically out of something that already exists in a world he has created.
Yeah, like Patton Oswalt's it's known for being a script doctor in this way, and he's good at it because he can put in a one-liner. Like that's his specialty. Even in his stand-up. His comedy comes from just like a good zinger, a good landed joke.
Sure.
Whereas Dan Harmon, he's a writer.
Yeah.
He's a comedic writer. He can craft a
His
full
bits have
story.
to have a setup and a hit.
Yeah, he has to not just a setup in a setup punchline way. Like he has to structure it like a story does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cloak thing, the wiping the face thing really bothered me because you're right. It was a real moment, and it was earned.
Yeah.
It was one of the few times, again, in a really, what can be really cheesy genre sometimes.
Yeah.
Is, he put the thing on and he flicked it, and I was like, not feeling like, we're just posing here. Like, it felt really genuinely earned.
Yeah.
And then they put that in, and it was like, and you lost me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, too, we don't get that a lot in these movies.
Yeah, they don't do it a whole lot in Marvel movies. They've done a really good job with not putting
Well, I actually meant we don't get real deep, earnest self-contemplation.
Yes.
Like that moment was. He really is like having to choose a path.
Right.
And I feel like Civil War, we had to have it. And they did a pretty good job of Steve Rogers at the funeral.
Right.
And Tony Stark talking to the woman whose son was killed.
Yeah.
But you don't really see that in a lot of other places.
Yeah. Agreed. And then they just let the air out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a great moment in Iron Man that still sticks with me where I think it's when they're at some party, Tony Stark and Obadiah Stane, and it's where Stan Lee is playing Hugh Hefner.
Right.
And Obadiah Stane says, look, why don't we talk about it? I'm going to go have a meeting with the board. Listen, why don't you just stay home, Tony? Look, it's not an option. And Tony Stark's like, no, I can do this. He's like, look, it wasn't a question. I'm leaving. You're not coming with me. And he walks away, and the camera pans back on Tony Stark from Tony Stark's just like defeated face.
Right.
The moments like that are really important in these. And
yeah.
I think that's something the DCEU isn't doing very well as
well.
No,
they don't do it at all.
We don't get real earnest moments.
Yeah, they don't, because they're quiet moments, and the DCEU has yet to do quiet. They really have.
No, you're right.
Like the Martha moment could have been much different.
Yep.
And if they played it differently instead of yelling.
Yep.
Why
are you saying her name?
Yeah. If there was just a moment where he said Martha and Batman stopped and was like, why
who is that?
What did you say?
Or even ask who is that?
Yeah.
Or what did you say?
Yeah. Or even just to deliver the line differently.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it, but you know what I'm saying, like, yeah, but just, and it takes the action and makes a 90-degree turn.
Yes.
I'm with you. But yeah. Anyway, now we're just on cream and DCEU. That came out wrong.
But yeah, I agree.
Like beating up on it.
I agree. The humor doesn't usually land.
Yeah. There's some moments you weren't into the single ladies thing. I was like okay with it.
That one I think was fine, but it was another one that was just missed. Like it was almost right, you know. And that one was mainly the one that I brought up because I think maybe that wasn't. I thought it was in a trailer, but I don't think it was actually.
No, because I'd never seen that moment.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it was fine.
Yeah. Should we talk about the post-credit scenes?
Sure.
Yeah. First one was him and Thor.
Another one that really didn't need any humor.
It didn't, but I was okay with it.
It was fine. I'm getting real sick of them having funny endings that don't mean anything.
But see, I think what I liked about this one was it kind of misled you for a second because you thought it was just going to be. I at first thought it was going to be kind of a copy of the Iron Man 3.
Oh, sure.
Ending.
Yeah.
Where it turns out to be
telling a story or whatever.
Yeah, he's just telling a story. They're just having a conversation, and then he says, "You're looking for your father in New York," and he says yes, and he goes, "Right, let's go." And I was like, "Oh shit, that means he's gonna like it." So the humor, like. That for me it worked because
the beer
it set
humor
me at ease.
is the thing that I was like it's fine.
Yeah,
but I was
like fine. Whatever, I didn't mind it. I was okay.
It's just so easy.
It is, but again, I liked the easy humor because it took me in a different direction.
Okay.
It distracted me, and then when they hit me with what the real point of the scene was, it like slapped me across the face.
Sure.
Second one was MODOK.
Can you imagine if MODOK was in one of the scenes?
That'd be craziness. We'll get a MODOK. I know. I don't know who owns MODOK.
It's Marvel, but we'll see. This is not yet a universe that you can just put a 6-foot-tall floating head.
It's getting close. Let's be honest. They put a gigantic, rippling, waving, floating head.
I was gonna say, Dormammu's not too far off.
Yeah. But. So we'll get a MODOK.
MODOK is also a robot. Like it's.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But whatever his name is, Chitwell Ejiofor.
Yeah, Chimvin Fingifa.
Shows up at Benjamin Brett's.
Benjamin Button, yep.
Thing and takes away his magic and then turns out to be...
Takes away his legs.
We knew... Okay. We knew that he was going to end up being a bad guy, because in the comics,
Yeah.
he's a bad guy.
I was happier that when I thought he wasn't going to do that, because I was like, oh, they're going away from the comics.
Right.
Nice.
Right.
And then I was like, oh.
I at least, and again, to go way back to the beginning of the conversation, one of the reasons I was okay with this being an origin story is because at least with this, you get an origin story of a villain and a hero.
Yeah.
So that when that villain does show up and he's the classic Marvel, I'm just the same guy but evil.
Yeah.
At least I care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like, at least
valid.
I give a damn.
And I do like that they switch it. It's a different reason.
Right. And that he wants to kill all the sorcerers.
Yeah.
Which is a fascinating plot.
Yes.
That I'm already excited for Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah, me
just
too.
for
I think
that.
that's a good idea.
That being said, when he took the guy's magic and he couldn't walk anymore, part of me was like, well, can't he just make more magic? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't see him kill him, so it was just implied that he just took the guy's
Can't
magic
he
out
just
of his
take more from the dark
think...
dimension? Is it the dark dimension? Is that what they call
Yeah,
it?
I think
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't think there's a finite amount. I'm pretty sure Benjamin Bratt's just like, this is
Yeah,
inconvenient.
Dormammu's still alive.
And as soon as he walks out, he's like, he just thinks, and all of a sudden he can stand again. He's like, okay, I'm back. I'm fine.
Yeah.
That was really annoying for a second. But yeah, so I do like that. Last thing, I promise this is the last thing about the movie. Because I said I wanted to get back to it.
Yeah.
Timeline.
Right.
Because this has been a thing that's been contested.
Yes.
Across all the inner tubes.
Definitely.
So, we see a clear shot of something that's in 2016.
Sure.
We see a clear shot of the Avengers Tower.
Wait, what is the 2016 thing then?
There's a plaque, one of his awards, in somewhere. I saw it because I was like looking for something with a year.
Yeah.
It says 2016.
So that just means it's after 2016.
Yeah. But we also had that mention in Winter Soldier about Stephen Strange.
Right, which just leads me to believe that they are aware of him.
Right, but are they aware of just the Doctors?
Yes.
Doctor Strange?
I mean, that would be my guess. Is that, well, remember as well, the Ancient One senses his power in him.
Right.
So it's extremely likely that Hydra has a way of sensing power in people as well.
Yeah, but the Ancient One is sensing power in a different way that
Possibly.
Hydra is.
Again, I didn't say that Hydra, as we know it, does it.
Right.
It's possible they have a sorcerer who works for them. We don't know how far Hydra goes. It's possible the Ancient One worked for Hydra.
That'd be fucking crazy.
Right? So, like, which would explain why she was taking power from the Dark Dimension.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think that it's extremely likely that they just were like, he's a dude who's probably, we got to keep an eye on him.
Right. Yeah, it's just interesting. What happens... Wait, let me ask this.
Yeah.
Remind me again why the Avengers moved to that fort that they're in now. Did the Avengers Tower get wrecked at one point? Or did they just move?
It must have been wrecked in Ultron, right? Because that's where...
Yes, it did.
Ultron
yes, it
comes
was.
from.
Because they were in the tower, and then Ultron destroyed it. So here's the thing. You see... I mean, I guess they could have rebuilt it. But
It's
you
Tony
see
Stark.
Avengers Tower clearly, like, fine.
Yeah.
So people are... the other thing is... And they've since said that this is not the case. The soldier that they talk about in the car, it's not...
Oh, certainly.
It's not Rhodey.
Yeah, certainly.
But
well, it says
some people...
he's 35.
Well, yeah. Some people have said, like, oh, well... Because they also say experimental tech, I think, is the reason for the injury.
Yeah.
You know who I did think it could be? Or what it has to pertain to? Is Diamondback.
Oh, sure.
Because of his suit.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that it's that character.
No, that's a good idea, though.
But it could have been Hammertech.
Yeah.
That is the experimental
That's
stuff.
actually a great
And I was
idea.
trying to think of what it would be, and I was like, ooh, maybe it's the Diamondback tech.
No, that's a good call.
I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm not saying anyone's confirmed that's what it is. I just think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's been some contesting on when does this storyline
Well, there's
take
also
place.
been rumor that that person is I believe there's a character, like a general in Iron Man 2, who breaks his back trying on some hammer armor.
Yeah, there's a footage of that. But that's the thing, is that someone was saying, is it that guy?
Yeah.
And so that would place this around... When did that movie come out?
Like 10?
Yeah,
11,
something like that. Yeah, so that would be like 6 years old. So basically they were trying to figure out, like, how long has Doctor Strange been training for?
Oh, wait. Much older than that.
Yeah.
Like 9.
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Like how you said 10 or 11 and you're like, oh no, much older than that. 1 year prior to what I just said.
Well, because, yeah, I was trying to remember when that came out. I think it's 8 or 9.
Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. It's kind of a weird thing.
Well, they've also, I believe they've said that the movie takes place over the course of 1 year, from one season to the same season.
Really?
Yeah. Because you can follow the seasons watching the movie.
Can you really?
That's what they've said, yeah. I forget who they are, but
Nah.
people involved with the movie.
Or people not involved.
Or
with
people
it.
not, yeah, like me.
Yeah, you're just telling me this now. You're like, when you watch, you can follow along with the seasons. And I go back and it's all summer and you're like, ha, you sucker. All right, yeah.
Yeah, no, because it's like snowing at one point when the Ancient One dies, right?
It is snowing. Yes, because she talks about
the snow.
I get to the snow and then it stops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was such a good scene.
That was a great scene.
It was a really sweet scene.
Tilda Swinton, man, like
oh yeah, we didn't talk about her.
Look,
and I can just point it. Yeah, she kills it in this.
Look, the controversy about the character, I'm actually with them. I would have been much happier if she was not cast in that role.
You would have rather they would cast an Asian?
Yeah.
Okay.
That being said, there's no one who would have done that part better.
Right. Okay. I was thinking about that, about the controversy of it. And first of all, you're right. There's no one who would have done that part better.
Yeah.
She crushed that part. She
Yeah.
killed it. That being said, I actually like that they didn't cast an Asian. And in a sense, I'm going to... Bear with me, because I swear there's an actual point here, and I'm going to try and put it as eloquently as possible. In a sense, I think it actually helps the casting of Asians and other people better. And here's why.
Go for it.
Yes, they could have cast an Asian person. Mm-hmm. And that is a part... A lot of people were upset because they said, here's a clear part for an Asian actor, and...
Asians, I think, are the lowest represented
They
demographic.
They are, absolutely.
Yeah.
That being said, there's also... First of all, it's one of those things where it's like... Some group wasn't going to be happy because because there was also a lot of people going, you can cast women as men, or you can cast women in parts that are traditionally for men, and they did that here.
And Tilda Swinton is the best person to do
and
that.
and they did that here. So one group was happy, and another group was like, well, we could have been casting, and it's like, well, we can't do everything.
I agree to an extent, but I'll let you finish.
But what I'm saying is, Tilda Swinton getting cast in a part that is usually portrayed as an Asian man shows you that you don't have to constantly cast exactly what is on the page.
Sure. And
so, yes, you could have cast an Asian actor, and that would have been a job for an Asian actor, which is a hugely underrepresented demographic. And I totally 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
That being said, I think you're casting an Asian actor in a part that you get less traction doing that than if you cast Tilda Swinton. You're casting an Asian actor in a part that is borderline stereotype of an Asian actor.
Yes.
Do you know of an Asian character.
There's no borderline.
But do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly.
So you're casting someone to make sure that demographic is represented, but you're casting them in a part that doesn't show them in the best light, because what you want to do is cast Asian actors in parts that can showcase them, that says, yes, they're Asian, but they can play anybody. They can play any average person the same that any other race or gender could.
So,
do you see?
Yes,
do you know what
and
I'm
I
saying?
agree with you. But if you're going to do that, then you also have to be the first people to make that step. Because thus far, like, this is great.
Right.
Where are the Asian characters that have been created for this?
No.
Not yet, right?
Right.
So do it in the movie. cast Chitwell Ejiofor's character
Right.
as an Asian man.
Yeah, but
cast Mads Mikkelsen instead of him,
Right.
an Asian man, instead of Rachel McAdams, an Asian woman.
that
it
would
goes
have, see,
on and
that
on
actually,
and on.
more than Mads Mikkelsen and Chitwell Ejiofor, because I think you're still playing towards what I was saying with the ancient.
See,
one
that's the thing, though, is if you write it the right way, it
You know,
won't be.
if you write it, you're right. But I think just on face value, if you're casting, now they did it with Wong, which by the way, that guy's great.
Yeah, and that works. Like,
And
that's
it
not a
works.
stereotype.
It's not. You're right. But I think if you, what was I about to say? Oh, if you're right, if you cast Rachel McAdams' part as an Asian, I think that's better than casting Mads Mikkelsen and Chitwell Ejiofor, because that is a character that her race is not going to be inherent on what her character.
But see, that's the thing, is I think we should start. No one has tried this yet, and I think we should start really trying to do colorblind casting. It works in theater. We do it all the time.
Right, but in a way, casting Tilda Swinton is colorblind casting.
It's not. Because they even are like, oh, she's Celtic. What do you know about her? Just that she's Celtic. That's what they said.
They said that?
Yeah. Chitwell Huge or whatever. Because he says, what do we know? Benedict Cumberbatch says, what do we know about her? And he says two things. He says, just that she's Celtic and that she doesn't talk about her past or something like that.
I totally missed that part.
So they felt a need to declare that.
Right.
You can still have an Asian actor and have them not play a stereotype, and it's fine.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that if you're gonna... I think, like I said... All right,
and if you don't want to do... if you don't want to do the ancient one, I get it. Like,
Right.
Tilda Swinton as that character, great.
Right.
But then you got to give us someone else.
Yeah, I think it becomes a problem because it's like you're trying to battle, not you personally, but
I am.
Yes. But there are multiple battles right now being fought in Hollywood on multiple fronts on casting.
Yep.
And it's like we can't. You can. It's hard to take on every battle
It is,
at the same time.
but this one is the most like I'm a big proponent of this one is the furthest battle. Like, look, the white people are overly represented.
Absolutely.
Black people are probably the next most
Represented?
which is still very far down on the list.
Yes,
but like
there's
I think they're next.
there is a large gap.
And then like Hispanic actors.
Yep.
And then down at the bottom there's Asian actors. Just start siphoning them in. Look at fucking Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Based on a Japanese anime.
No.
I'm mostly just yelling out into the void.
Yeah.
But like that shit blows my mind.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That is the best example of like a whitewashing in Hollywood. Yeah.
But in this
people
movie,
are saying like this was whitewashing in Hollywood, and part of me wants to say it's kind of not, because you're also taking a role that is traditionally a male and making it a female.
No, I get that.
So now
and that's great, but women are almost as represent. I mean, they're still not. They're probably the next below white men is white women.
Yeah, I get. Yeah,
you know what
you're
I
right.
mean?
It's like white men, then there's a large gap, then there's white women, then there's a large gap, then there's
black men probably, and then black women.
Yeah, but I'm probably going to actually say both of those.
Are pretty close. Yeah. So what does this do for the Asian acting community? Nothing.
Yeah, but again, I think you get, other than being able to say we actually cast Asian actors and gave them a paying gig, I don't think you make as much headway by putting an Asian actor as the ancient one.
See, I disagree. I think you put in
because you're not showing them.
I know what you mean.
You know
I think you're coming off. You're
like
you're casting them in stereotypical roles
exactly
that have to be Asian.
Exactly.
So it doesn't.
So they would go, we casted Asian actors, and everyone will go, well,
yeah, you had to. But
they're Asian mystics.
Instead, what they're showing to Hollywood is, no, you don't have to. You've got a traditionally Asian role. You don't even have to give that to an Asian anymore.
Yes,
they haven't made the first step of casting an Asian actor in a role that is traditionally not Asian.
Right, but I think you also say, see, we took a role that is traditionally one thing and we made it completely different and it works.
See, I think we're just making the same points off each other back and forth. Like we're just gonna go around in a circle. But I disagree. Like if you're trying to prove that point, if that's what they're trying to do, then they've got to do it. They can't just give the role to a more represented.
But I think they did do it. They took a role that is traditionally a certain race and a certain gender and made
but
it
they didn't.
The complete
they took
opposite.
It from a type of character that is underrepresented.
Yes.
And gave it to a type of character who is more represented.
Not by much, though.
Significantly more. Asian men are cast in, name an Asian actor who isn't John Ho or Jackie Chan, or isn't a martial artist.
Who, I don't know his name, but I can
you
see
sure
his
don't.
No, but he has there's a show, what's that show on ABC? Off the Boat?
Great.
Fresh Off the
What's
Boat?
his name?
I don't know his name.
Exactly.
I don't know his name because I don't watch that show.
Name me a white female actor.
Tilda Swinton.
Rachel McAdams. And the list, Julia Roberts. It just goes on and on.
Yeah.
On,
no, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, I think
they had good intentions.
Yeah.
I don't think they did it right.
I think I think that was a no-win situation, though.
I disagree. Here's how you win. You can cast Tilda Swinton in that role. Sorry, Benedict Cumberbatch. That role goes to an Asian man. Doctor Strange.
But, okay.
Have him be a New Yorker, born and raised,
right,
who's Asian.
If you're going to do that, then I'd rather do Danny Strong.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And they would be more likely because they are great at diversity on the TV shows.
Right. Well, the other thing is I think that it plays kind of both hands where if you cast someone like Danny Strong as an Asian, you can cast him as an American who's Asian.
From New York.
Right. But then it plays into... It's not necessarily like a stereotype to have an Asian American who is not in touch with some sort of heritage of his to go back to a place and come into... You know what I mean?
Sure.
Then it plays almost the same way that Luke Cage plays.
Sure.
Of... This is my past. This is a part of who I am.
No, that's a good point.
And I discover that. Whereas if you're casting in Doctor Strange and you're putting Asians in it, it's like it's not. You know, it doesn't play towards that sort of thing of I'm discovering something about myself that is from.
Well, it doesn't have to. That's the
no,
thing.
It doesn't. I'm not saying it necessarily has to, but I'm saying. I think that we're getting.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've talked about this too much. That's
whatever.
Fine.
Overall,
you're wrong.
All right, fair enough. I'll take it.
Whatever. Not even just this thing. Just in general. Whatever you've said, I disagree with.
Awesome. Sounds good. Doctor Strange overall recommend?
Yeah, I'd see it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you had to rate,
in fact, you did.
I did. I'd see it a third time. If it comes to IMAX, I'll see it. I'll pay to see it again, and that shit's expensive. If you had to rank it from 1 to 10. 10 being the best and 1 being the best, what would it be?
I would say, I guess 6.5.
On a scale of best to best?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. You?
Oh, that's for me to know.
All right, fair enough.
I'm not giving you my secrets.
Cool. You want to go on to reading assignments?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Who wants to start? You want to start?
I'll start because you had the non-conventional one.
That's true. All right.
I gotta take this beer bottle off and Pepsi and glass and off of your. I
consumed a lot of liquid this podcast.
I used a coaster, sort of.
Yeah.
I used a piece of junk mail. So you gave me Hush, which is a story I had never read, but I'd heard much about.
Yes.
And
this is Jim Lee's famous Batman maxi series back from, God, I want to say the early 2000s, if I remember correctly.
I don't know.
Yeah. I can kind
2003.
of 2003. Yeah, that sounds about right. His famous I think it's like a 12-parter, 11-parter, something like that.
It's really it's one issue a month?
Yeah.
Is that normal?
One issue a month?
They did them weekly.
Nope, it's one issue a month.
That's crazy.
So this that's why I say it's like 11 or 12 because it took
it's about
like
an
entire year.
And it is quite well written.
Excellent. I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, it's so good.
I've been thinking about what to talk about because I wanted to tell you and don't get too let down because there's a but.
Right.
I anticipated the end.
Oh yeah.
But that's because I was like every time I turned a page I was like, no, it's this person.
Yes.
And then I turned another page and I was like, no, it's this guy.
Yeah.
And it just I eventually I ran out
you run out of
options.
options.
Accused everyone.
Yes.
And so many twists and turns. There was one person I never suspected until the person showed up, and I don't want to ruin it. And then when the person did show up, it was totally unexpected, and it's not a character that you have seen before in the story.
Take him through just like without spoiling the end through a little bit of the plot of what Hush is.
Man, so much happens. So it's another real Batman detective story. I just want to know why they can't make a detective movie with Batman.
Right.
He's a detective.
Right.
And when they try to make him detect, he's terrible at it.
Yeah.
And he does things that aren't real. But this is another perfect example of, like, I mean, every issue has something that leads you to who it is, and you're like, oh, I can't believe I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So, Batman, it starts, I mean, so much happens. It starts with a ransom. Killer Croc has stolen a child. He's holding a kid for ransom. The FBI or whoever are about to deliver the money. Batman intervenes. He beats Killer Croc up to save the child. In the midst of that, the money goes missing. He discovers that it's Catwoman.
Right.
He goes to chase after Catwoman. His line gets cut. Eventually, he makes his way to Poison Ivy, and she...
It involves almost everyone that... almost everyone that Batman kind of directly touches in the Batman mythos.
Yes.
From Harley Quinn and the Joker.
The Joker
pretty much his entire rogues gallery shows up in this. The Riddler, who is portrayed... Probably the best I've ever seen the Riddler portrayed in this.
Yes, the very last... I think it's like the last panel or something. It's one of the last panels is brilliantly written with the Riddler.
Superman has a great issue. Mm-hmm. But that's... And, you know, it just... And everyone in the Bat family, from Nightwing, Huntress, Robin, Oracle... It even touches on Jason Todd really well. Yep. Really, really well. I think I told you this when I gave it to you. It's one of those stories that it doesn't matter where you end up, because every book is a chapter, and every chapter plays into another aspect of what makes Batman Batman. Yep.
Man, it's good. And it's him trying to, like...
And it just breaks it apart.
Juggle work and relationship for the first time. And like Ra's al Ghul is in it.
Yes,
and he's got to figure that out.
Yeah.
And, it just goes on and on. Like, you really feel like there's no way that he could have a relationship while doing this.
Right.
And it really does a good job of... It doesn't... So there's it's early on, so I don't think this is a spoiler, but he and Catwoman start to finally develop some sort of romance, and it doesn't feel forced at all. It really feels like he's trying everything he can not to do this.
Yes.
And he can't help it.
It's a dance that... you get the feeling that this is a dance that they have played around.
It's a culmination of
for years and years and years, that they've now finally started to dance with each other. Yeah. And this I don't think this is a major spoiler, because I think it happens like midway through the storyline, but Batman he reveals himself to it. And I remember the first time I read this, it took me a second, because I went, holy crap, he has never done that. Yeah. Because he's always known who Selina Kyle is. Yes. And she's always known that he knows who she is. But she has never known who he is other than Batman. Which is interesting, because they've always had this dance going. They've always danced around it.
Well,
they've always never
There's a great moment where
that.
he's talking to Robin before he decides to do this, and says she probably even already knows. Yes. You know? Yeah. And it turns out she does not.
She does not know at all.
There's something else I was going to say about that as well that works really well. Yeah, but now I can't remember.
Yeah, it is. I do love this storyline. I mean, it's a much heralded storyline.
There's a great moment where he is like, she could be the person I'm chasing. Where he's like, I don't know who's doing the things that are happening. This could all be part of her elaborate plot, or she could be controlled by Poison Ivy, or someone else who's controlling her to get to me. Like, is she part of this plan? Which, again, goes into why he cannot have more people in his life. He's already got too many. There's a part where he freaks out because he thinks Alfred's been killed. Like, when Ra's al Ghul puts a sword in his computer, he goes into the Batcave and he's like, Ra's al Ghul has been here. And he's like, he knows I'm Bruce Wayne. He knows I'm here. Alfred, and like storms out, and he finds Alfred, and he's like, Alfred, you're alive. And Alfred says some quip about like, well, as apropos as always, you really hit the nail on the head this time, sir. And then like wanders off.
Yeah, it's just... What the hell was I just going to say about it?
It's a great story.
It is a great story. Like I said, it is one of those stories that it breaks apart every aspect of Batman. And hold on. Oh, it reminds me of another storyline that maybe someday down the line I'll get to you. But that is like a fucking huge storyline, which is Nightfall.
Okay.
Which was famous for the rise of Bane in popularity.
Yeah.
It's where the famous image of Bane breaking Batman's back comes from.
Sure.
Which is in the middle of that run, actually.
Okay.
But Nightfall, in that storyline, which is kind of similar to this, it's a matter of Bane blows up Arkham Asylum to let out all of the villains.
Oh.
And so every issue, he's going up against a different villain.
Wow.
And the whole point is that Bane goes, I can't beat him myself.
Right.
I have to wear him down. So by the time that Bane comes around to break his back,
he's weakened.
He's
by
like
everyone else.
sleep deprived.
Yeah.
Because he's been up literally 8-9 nights and days going around just collecting all of his rogues gallery.
That's similar to the plot of the Tom Hardy.
Right,
Bane
exactly.
personality.
And so then Bane breaks, and that's what I mean with this is that the person who is behind this is literally just manipulating Batman psychologically and going, there's this aspect of your life and I'm going to pick that apart, and then you got to deal with that, and then you got to deal with this, and then you got to answer for Jason Todd and your romance with Catwoman and the fact that you have too many people that in your life and you have all of these rogues and this is this thing, and those are the best. Again, for me, those are the best Batman stories. Even with the Gotham Knights one that you weren't too keen on, but that's what I love is I love when it's a detective story that is to figure out, but then you see the merging of Bruce Wayne and Batman. Yeah, there's always that argument of like which is the real identity and which is the costume, definitely. And I always hate that argument because I actually prefer when it's the one and the same. Yeah, and it's neither. It's like exactly 50-50. We get, in Hush, we get 50-50. We get Bruce Wayne and Batman as one entity going, I don't know how to balance all this. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy trying to do the thing, and it's just too much. Yeah. And part of me wants to be just a normal person. Yeah. Yeah.
It's quite good.
Yeah. So I'm glad you liked it. I had a feeling that you would.
I mean, the last two issues, they do a lot of fake outs. Where I was like, oh, it's him! Yeah. And then I was like, oh, no, it's not. It's him!
And that's the thing is, like, when you find out who it is, you're kind of like, oh, yeah, of course it's him.
Yeah,
it's so obvious.
And maybe I shouldn't even say this. It's the first person I suspected.
Right. And then they take you on such a trail that you're like, oh, no, it can't be him. That's
it's
way
probably
too
this other
easy.
guy instead. Yeah.
We probably haven't seen it yet. And it turns out, no, it's exactly...
And they don't really confirm it.
Right. Yeah, so it's kind of like wishy-washy. But yeah, it's a great little story.
It's a really good run.
Yeah. You gave me something interesting. You gave me a video of, it's Richard Feynman, right?
Yep.
That's how I'm pronouncing
Richard Feynman.
Right? So Richard Feynman, you did this much better than I'm going to do this. Give me the background on Richard Feynman a little bit more.
Now, I can't really remember what we said of him last time, but Richard Feynman was the guy who knew what was wrong with the Challenger explosion. Yes. That's what one of the things he's most known for, at least in recent history. He's also one of the head guys who created the A-bomb. Yes. And then spent the rest of his life trying to make sure it didn't get used. Right. He's got a lot of interesting stories, did some really interesting work. His famous last words were, he was in a coma from cancer. And he woke up right before he died. He looked around and he said, ugh, I'd hate to die twice. It's horribly boring. And those were his last words.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So what I gave you was...
You gave me it's about an hour and 8-minute video of, I guess after he'd been diagnosed with cancer. Yeah. Some of his students came around and just videotaped him answering questions on...
So he was also known for winning the Nobel Prize in... explanatory science, right? For lack of a better word. He was known as the great explainer. He was a guy who could he believed that if he couldn't explain an aspect of science to a 14-year-old, he didn't understand it himself.
Right. And so it's basically his students posing questions to him and then having him explain how things work. And I watched, I will admit I got through, I think, maybe 45
you son of a bitch.
minutes of the... I find him thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah, right?
He's really entertaining. Because there are a lot of things in this video that I watch and I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things in this video and I have no idea what the fuck he is talking about.
Yeah.
It is, he just like... But what I'm always drawn into about him is he gets so much enjoyment out of this that it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, if you watch this, because I think the title of the video is The Fun of Imagining. It's something like that. Yeah. Which he kind of explains in the opening segment, which is just, everything would be better if you just enjoyed imagining these things.
He was also one of the first scientists to say, well, what do you mean there's a science brain and an art brain? If you don't have imagination, you don't have science.
Yeah. If you don't have and that's basically his whole thing.
Yeah.
Like there was one point where the guy asked him, "What is the thing between magnets?" Like if you put your finger and the guy he gets kind of pissed off.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I don't know what the hell you're asking me," but because that's a weird question to ask. And the guy's like, "Well, I don't know how to make it any more clear." He's like, "Well, but the thing is, like, if you're asking me why something happens, and he kind of answers a completely different question, which is, if you're asking me why something happens, that's based on a series of established, recognized things.
More wise
that we have already all agreed as human beings are already answered."
Yeah.
So... And but there he kind of goes, and like I said, there's a good portion of it that I don't understand the actual science that he's talking about.
Yeah.
But he just loves, like, imagining it. Like, he says it at one point, I just like thinking about this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes me smile.
You should check out the rest of it, because at the very end, I think maybe the last thing he says in the video is, nature's imagination is so much greater than man's, she's never going to let us relax.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We talked about Mars a couple of episodes back. And to me, and for some reason, I've been watching more and more things about Mars. Like, not on purpose, but
it's been out. Coming, it's been all over the place recently.
And if you're going to watch this video and take anything away from it, I think it's that. It's just this guy looks at science and looks at the way that the world works.
Yeah.
And goes, this is fascinating. This is amazing. And we get to live in this thing, and you can, it kind of almost makes me ashamed for doing a podcast about fucking movies and comic books, because there's so many fascinating things that you can get your enjoyment from.
But see, that's why we include the word geek.
This is true.
Because that encompasses everything.
Yeah, that's right. It's just covering our asses.
Yeah.
But yeah, because the world is a fascinating enough place without...
I love him talking about trees and how they don't grow out of the ground. They grow out of the air. Because we breathe out CO2, which is carbon dioxide, right?
Right.
Trees are made from carbon.
Yeah.
So they take in this carbon dioxide,
yes.
They take the carbon they need, and then spit out the O2, the oxygen, which is an ugly byproduct. And that's what we use to breathe.
When he explains things, it's not necessarily simpler to understand than if someone else were to explain it, but it paints a larger picture of connection.
Yes.
And I think that's what makes it so interesting. He was talking about being in the dentist chair, and the drill starts, and he was trying to not focus on how this was going to hurt.
Yeah.
So he starts looking at the drill and thinking about how the drill works.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking about the fact that somewhere out there is a dam, and water is running over the dam and generating energy, and that energy is being harnessed in some sort of a battery or plant somewhere, and that energy is then being shot out across some wires and coming up in through the outlet, through the plug, and into the drill, and that's what's causing the drill to turn. And it was like, he didn't think like, oh, the motor is just running and that's it, and it's running because...
Yeah, but why is the motor running?
Right, and it's like, it's not, he never goes, well, it's plugged into the wall and that's where you get electricity. Yeah. Like, he goes all the way to the farthest reach of it, and just puts it all in a great
He
perspective.
has another great quote about people brushing their teeth, and he says, when I think about people brushing their teeth in the morning, it's interesting to think that, people wake up in the morning, they brush their teeth,
Right.
and as the sun, the earth is spinning, so as the sun hits the horizon, there's just a wave of people getting up and brushing their teeth, getting up and brushing their teeth, getting up and brushing their teeth, all the way around the world, and it just continues over and over again, and it's a wave that never stops.
That's That's what I mean. It's really fascinating. It's not, when he explains hard science, it's not, that itself is not any simpler to understand.
Yeah.
But he just has this fascinating, larger perspective.
Yeah.
That just puts it all in its place. And that, like I said, if you take nothing away from it, just take away that.
Yeah. He's magnificent.
Yeah.
I have a graphic novel about his life that I was planning on giving you instead of that video, and the graphic novel was only so. So
Right.
I decided I was like, you know what, I'm just going to give him something that I found really interesting.
Yeah, no, it is really fascinating. It's really interesting. Okay. Reading assignments for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We established before the last episode that we haven't really picked anything for each other.
I have an idea for what. Have I given you? And this is the other thing, is we got to start writing down what we've given each other already.
I've got a pile.
Because
I already know what I've
don't
given you.
remember everything I've given.
I've got 2 piles in my bedroom right now. One is things to read, and one is things to give you.
Okay.
And then when I get something back from you, I just put it on my bookshelf.
Have I? I don't think I've given you Flash Rebirth yet, have I? I gave you Flashpoint.
You've just given me Flashpoint.
Okay, that's the thing I want to give you is Flash Rebirth. Flash Rebirth is it's written by Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns really hit a stride with Green Lantern Rebirth, which was bringing back Hal Jordan from being dead essentially to becoming Green Lantern again, and then a few years later, the Flash, Barry Allen. In the DCU, famously died in like 1985 during the Crisis on Infinity, or I used to say Infinity because I was an idiot as a child. Crisis on Infinite
Earths, yeah.
And he famously gave his life for that, and it was one of those comic book deaths that they were like, no, he's really dead.
Yeah,
he's not coming back.
It's like Uncle Ben.
Yeah, and they kept that. They kept true to their word for like 25 years.
Well, good for them.
But then after a certain amount of time, they said, you know what? There's love for this character.
Yeah.
People really want him back. Let's bring him back. And so they got Jeff Johns to come back and write another Rebirth story, and it's Flash Rebirth.
Wow.
And I really enjoy it. I can also dig up Green Lantern Rebirth sometime, somewhere. Yeah. But this one's in a nice trade paperback, so that's the one you get now.
Nice.
But yeah, I think that's a great read. Like I said, Jeff Johns, who's running the DCEU now, it's always a good idea to read him.
Is he running the cinematic universe?
Yeah, he's one of the guys who's like he oversees it, I should say.
I think we had a news story about that a few episodes back.
Yeah.
I remember that now. That's good news.
Yeah.
God.
So yeah, that's what I got for you.
Have you ever read Astonishing X-Men?
No, I've not.
It's written by Joss Whedon.
I know what you're talking about. No, I have not.
I'm going to give you that.
Excellent.
The only thing you got to know is this is an older generation of X-Men. Most of them are... Like, the main character, if there is one, is Kitty Pryde.
Yes.
And Shadowcat.
Okay.
And she's older. She comes back as sort of to teach like a master class or something.
Right.
She's experienced. There's just been a crazy event that's killed a bunch of people. One of them is Colossus. So that's all you gotta keep in mind when you're going into this.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
It's a good time. I think it's one of the first trade paperbacks I ever read, and it was definitely something that like just cannonballed me into comics.
Awesome. All for it. All for the Joss Whedon.
Yay!
That's
we
another
did another
one.
thing.
All right.
We keep doing things.
Hey, Andrew. Where can they find us?
They can find us on soundcloud.com/themedialunchbreak. They can find us on twitter.com. Our handle there is Media Lunch Break. They can find us, they can email us at themedialunchbreak@gmail.com, or they can go on the website, themedialunchbreak.com, or they can find us on patreon.com/themedialunchbreak, where you can give us a little bit of money if you can. If you can't, I get it, because Supreme Ruler Trump is our
Oh,
president.
for Christ's sake.
You can also listen to us on iTunes or Google Play Music, where you can give us a nice review or a mean review.
Facebook.
You can also buy... I'm always going to forget that
You're
one
always
because...
gonna, because it's the only one I made.
Yeah, it's much like your life.
Yeah. Sounds right.
So yeah, we've also got a Facebook. Oh, and YouTube. How did I count wrong?
Yep. No, you didn't count wrong.
Oh, right. We used
YouTube.
to have 8. Now we have 9.
Now we have 9. Yep.
So we're on YouTube. You can search for us
Yeah.
on YouTube and find some stuff.
Yeah. Oh, a big thanks to Brian Kirchner for our theme song.
Great big thanks to Brian Kirchner for our theme song.
Yeah.
I also want to say we're probably going to start... oh, my voice is going.
Yep.
We're going to start probably giving out prizes soon.
Yeah.
If we can get enough subscribers, we'll start giving away free comic book stuff.
Yeah. So if you're that person who sent Andrew a weird email through a phone number, subscribe to us. Let us know who you are.
And I think YouTube is the only one I know you're allowed to do it on because I've seen other people do it. So if we get, let's say, 100 subscribers on YouTube.
Sounds great.
If we can get 100 subscribers, so share this to everyone you know. And we'll
or create, if you're one person and you've already subscribed to us, create 99 emails and subscribe to us on all those.
Yes, 99 YouTube accounts.
That's fine. Whatever.
Whatever computers do. And once we have 100, we'll ask people to comment on stuff, and then we'll pick a random comment and send a free prize.
Yeah! That sounds good.
Free stuff.
Free stuff!
Free stuff.
Alright, everybody, that's going to do it for us.
Yep.
I was going to say, we'll talk to you next week. I don't know if we will.
We'll probably come by. I don't know that we will. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. And by the time I upload these, it'll be 2017 anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have one more thing.
Okay.
It's your birthday soon.
It is my birthday soon.
I don't know when it is, but I know it's sometime this year.
Birthdays do happen like that.
So I got you a present.
You what? You stop it now.
It's this.
Oh, man. This is amazing. I guess I should actually describe what this is for a second.
Yeah, it's just me in underwear.
Yeah. I'm holding now a hardwood poster of the Killing Joke cover that has been amazingly decorated. This is fantastic, actually. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm very touched by this.
I spent a lot of money on it.
I bet you did.
So,
yeah,
you better like it.
Awesome. Alright, everybody, that's going to do it for us. We will see you when we see you. And by that,
you'll hear us.
You'll hear us when you hear us.
Bye.
Bye.